Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So on today's video, we will understand why is it that INR is falling. Recently, you might have read in the news that INR has fallen to its lowest ever levels. Now, this is definitely a bad news, but what exact impact is it going to have on you? Is there something that you can do? What sort of preparation you should start undertaking? These are specific actionable points that I am going to talk about. इसके अराउंड पॉलिटिक्स बहुत होती है. पीपल जस्ट कीप ऑन मेकिंग पॉलिटिक्स. ये पार्टी ने वो कर दिया, इस मिनिस्टर ने वो बोल दिया, बट दे डोंट एक्सप्लेन यू द इकोनॉमिक्स एंड फाइनेंस बिकॉज दैट एस्पेक्ट इज एक्चुअली गोइंग टू क्रिएट अ डिफरेंस इन योर लाइफ. नाउ लेट मी स्टार्ट द स्टोरी बाय टॉकिंग अबाउट माय ओन एक्सपीरियंस दैट व्हेन आई वेंट टू INSEAD to complete my MBA in 2014. Back then, INR as per US dollar was trading somewhere around 60 rupees हर डॉलर का होता था. Now it is at 83 rupees, right? So approximately 40% fall हो चुका है. Now if you pick last 3 to 4 years, the fall in INR compared to US dollar has been roughly 20% cumulative fall. Now these are very big falls. It creates a massive difference to you because again, going back to my example, here now if I try to do my MBA from INSEAD or an American college, so to say, I'll have to pay like 40% more fees because वहाँ पे fees कम नहीं हो रही है, right? So this is a direct impact on me. This creates a massive difference to me. Many of you might be studying abroad, or if you're a parent, you might want to send your kids to study abroad at some stage. The fall in INR is actually going to create a massive negative impact. Similarly, if you're someone who is in an import industry or an export industry or deal with oil-based products, all this is going to impact your business directly. So let me simplify this entire complicated concept in front of you in very simple, easy to understand language. Point wise, आपको अच्छा लगे तो please like कर देना. In fact, please like the video so that these type of fundamental videos reach out to more investors. And let's kickstart. So 3 things that we are going to understand. Number 1 is that why is INR falling? Number 2, what is the impact of INR fall on you specifically? And third and finally, is there something that you can do? So let's study point wise and let's pick topic number 1 as to why is INR falling. So okay, बहुत बातें होती रहती हैं कि यार INR is falling because this policy has been taken or that policy has been taken. No, see, whenever anything rises or falls, it's a simple supply and demand equation. That is how economists explain this entire concept. Now, whenever there is more supply of anything, कि भाई किसी भी चीज़ की supply बढ़ गई, but demand is not going by the same proportion, then that particular thing or price of that asset will fall. So in simple terms, what is happening in the international market is that the demand of US dollar is higher than that of INR and the supply has not risen proportionally. Now, if you don't understand this statement, please don't worry about it. In simple terms, what I am trying to communicate to you is that see, there is more demand for US dollar in the international market compared to INR. आप बोलोगे ये तो हमेशा से है, right? I mean, this has always happened. Yes, absolutely true. But the dynamics have changed over the last 2-3 years. Now you might get a little bit confused कि यार, you know what, US is printing a lot of money. They have printed like trillions of dollars. India has not printed that much of INR. So supply तो नहीं बढ़ी इस रेट से. In fact, the supply of US dollar has risen much faster compared to INR. So then why is it that the demand of US dollar is growing higher compared to INR? It makes no sense. Well, see, it hits the point of macro stability. Now, what is the meaning of macro stability? See, you have to look at the world from a overall world perspective, not from an India focused lens or a US focused lens, vagera, vagera. And you have to think from a point of view of a rational, rich investor. Now, why am I integrating the word rich there? Because rich people are the ones who move the international investing market. Now, what has happened post-COVID is that see, there is a lot of demand for stability. Now, demand for stability का मतलब होता है that investors want to reduce their risk profile. For example, if I have a lot of money, I'll put a part of that money for growth. कि यार बहुत जल्दी पैसा बढ़ जाए from this section of my portfolio. And half of my portfolio, let's say 30-40% of my portfolio, I will put in relatively safe assets. Now, like it or not, India is still an emerging market. There are a lot of risks associated with an emerging market. And during troubled time, जब war हो रही है, दुनिया भर की चीजें हो रही हैं, then what happens? That there is more demand for safety-oriented instruments. This is one of the reasons why the gold prices have almost doubled in the last 4 odd years, which is very, very fast rise in gold. And in the recent history, the gold prices have not risen so fast. So I hope that this point about macro stability is clear to everyone, that what is the meaning of macro stability and why is it that investors or international rich investors, they are still demanding very high units of US dollar, and why the demand of US dollar is not coming down. अब इसका एक second aspect आता है which has to do with the interest rate, because right now you might be reading the news कि यार Moody has degraded the or downgraded the US debt. All this stuff is happening. So then this indicates that there is some gadbad happening in the US economy. maybe not. But see, what is happening in the US economy is that the interest rates in the US economy is somewhere around 6.5%. Now in India, that interest rate is approximately the same. So now the investors or international investors are saying कि यार US में भी मुझे यही interest rate मिल रहा है, इंडिया में मुझे यही interest rate मिल रहा है. So they are still picking up the US debt and money is going to the US. There is demand for US dollars, so to say. Yes, a lot of macroeconomic instability in the world has been created by the US, but unfortunately by providing 6.5% interest rate, the US government is still offering a lot of incentives for international investors to stay invested in the US dollar. ये तो हुई इकोनॉमिक्स एक्सप्लेनेशन. नाउ कम्स द पॉलिटिकल एक्सप्लेनेशन. यार इंडिया में सब कुछ सही चल रहा है, राइट? आई मीन बिकॉज वी कीप ऑन हियरिंग द न्यूज दैट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर इज सफरिंग, सो मेनी डिफरेंट थिंग्स आर सफरिंग. सो इज दिस ट्रेंड गोइंग टू रिवर्स, राइट? बिकॉज द यूएस विल हैव टू ब्रिंग डाउन द इंटरेस्ट रेट एंड दुनिया भर की चीजें होंगी. सो सी, हियर इज द अनबायस्ड एनालिसिस दैट जनरली स्पीकिंग द INR फॉल्स बाय 3 to 4% every year compared to US dollar. Now, is this trend going to accelerate? Accelerate मतलब यार आगे चल के ऐसा तो नहीं कि INR will continue to fall at like 10% per year. Or option B is that this thing is temporary and it will come back to its normal shape. Which of these two situations is going to play out? According to my understanding, I don't think that the fall of INR is going to stop. INR will continue to fall quite aggressively. There are multiple reasons for that and which will go beyond the scope of this video. But I'll hit 2-3 very critical points and फटाफट explanation देता हूँ. See, number one reason is that the growth in the entire world is stopping. It's not growing at a very fast rate. We can keep talking about the fact that India is growing faster than XYZ regions of the world. ठीक है, but you have to study the entire world. The entire world benefited from the world trade when the interdependence of trade was there between countries. All the countries are moving into isolated buckets and वो अपनी अपनी कहानियाँ सुनाते रहते हैं, make in India, make in Japan, make in this, make in that. The overall world trade is slowing down and countries like India or fast growing economies like India gets hit the most. So this is problem one. Problem two. Now, without blaming the government about XYZ party or PQR parties, I don't think that we have done enough in terms of generating growth, generating employment, improving the productivity of the economy. Now, बोलोगे कि अच्छा यार, you are like a political biased person, this, that, you will say negative things. No, this is what the data tells us. For example, let me speak about the manufacturing sector, because many a times counter argument is made कि when INR is falling, right, that is the rupee is weakening, it helps our export. But आप मेरे को ये बात बताओ that is India a net exporter country? The answer is no, we are not. And what do countries typically export? They export some kind of manufactured goods, right? So from that particular perspective, the health of our manufacturing sector is extremely critical, but we are not doing enough there. Second is the manufacturing sector growth rate. So this has been extremely slow. This is a laggard sector as of now. So this is unfortunately not playing out for India. The third aspect is the percentage of people employed in the manufacturing sector. Even that is coming down. So this is again a problem. Now, one of the deepest problems that we have in the manufacturing sector is that India is not a producer of high value services. या सिर्फ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग नहीं होती, right? There are like hosts of things when it comes to manufacturing. For example, India में the most talked about manufactured product is iPhones, right? Now, do you think that India is manufacturing iPhones? You guys let me know in the comment box that is that really happening? There is a difference between assembling iPhones and manufacturing iPhones. Manufacturing iPhones require more precision. It requires more quality control. It requires a more educated workforce. उसके लिए you will have to do a lot of basic work to begin with. Only then companies are going to come set up manufacturing units in its truest sense. So I hope that you got the picture. I'm not trying to make this topic political. Now let me go to section number 2, which is around what is the impact of INR fall on you. Now there are 4 or 5 key major impacts that is going to happen because INR is falling, and please note that as per my understanding INR is likely to fall even more from this point. अभी तक 3-4% every year, 3 to 4% fall was very normal, but going forward this will easily accelerate to 6-7%. So please listen to this section and the next section very carefully. It is going to impact your life. Okay, so let us begin and let me help you understand very easy language 4-5 key points that is going to happen due to fall of INR. Number 1 key point which is very easy to understand is the study abroad. And अगर आप बाहर travel करते हो, then the cost of traveling abroad is going up. If you are planning to study abroad, it is going to go up. In fact, TCS भी लग गया है, right? In terms of travel, कि आपको 20% TCS, 20% TCS is collected. Why? Because the Indian government wants to slow down the flow of INR outside India. This is a very important point you need to understand. अब आप बोलोगे कि यार study abroad में there is no 20% TCS. Okay, fine. There is no 20% TCS on studying abroad education fees. But when you go and study at INSEAD or when you go and study at Harvard, Stanford, do you not go and take a house to live, or do you not go and eat food outside? All that stuff, right? So जितने भी आप expenses कर रहे हो, most of them will fall in that 20% TCS category. So this has direct impact on you now. And with the fall of INR, for example, in my case, in 2014, when I went to INSEAD, USD was trading at 60 rupees. Right now, it is at 83 rupees. Now, even if INSEAD does not increase the fee by even $1, then also there has been a 40% differential that has been created on the fees itself. Why? All because of fall of INR. So I hope that this first point is very clear, that if you are looking to expense money outside India, this has become a major drag on you. Second key point is that the cost of capital is going to go up in India. This is a point that majority of the people do not understand. Cost of capital, kya फालतू की चीज़ है? No, this is massive, right? Now, what is the meaning of cost of capital? Well, cost of capital means that, for example, if you are looking to start your own business, own startup, then you are procuring capital at let's say 7%, 7.5%, 8% loan पे आप ले रहे हो, right? Now, this is the cost of capital that you are incurring. Now, what is happening in real terms is that if the INR falls and if it continues to fall, then in real terms, what is happening? Well, you might be procuring capital from outside India. For example, there is something called as external bonds, right? जिसमें companies जाके list करती हैं in international market and they procure capital from international market. Because you might say कि यार मैं तो international procurement करता ही नहीं हूँ, मुझे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Well, फर्क ये पड़ता है that it's not just you who is moving the economy. Lot of other entrepreneurs are moving the economy. They are borrowing capital from outside India, sitting in India. So for them, the cost of capital goes up. Now, this is a very important point, because if the cost of capital by borrowing outside is high for an entrepreneur, then what is that entrepreneur going to do? Well, he is going to do some jugaadify in India and try to borrow as much money from India as possible. Now, if they are borrowing money from India, then banks will say कि यार देखो हमें तो मिल रहे हैं हजार करोड़ रुपए लेने वाले लोग, then why should we give you loan, you तुच्छ प्राणी, right? So they will not give you loan, right? Or the loans that you are being given, it is going to be at slightly higher rates. This is a point that many people miss because they do not exhibit second order thinking. I'm not hinting names here. You guys can hint whatever names you think like. I'm just explaining you the economics behind it. Third key point, the competition for investments is going to go up. Now, what is the meaning of this? So imagine that you are an American, right? In 2014, when one USD was trading at 60 rupees, then you could have purchased, let's say, 5 apples in India. Okay. Now in 2023, 1 USD is equal to 83 rupees. So आपका 40%, 40% profit has already happened for you. Why? Because INR weakened and dollar strengthened. So now you can easily buy those 5 apples, right? कि जितनी भी महंगाई हो गई हो वगैरह वगैरह चीजें. So this is the competition for investments, because, for example, think about it in this respect that in India, a lot of companies or foreign entities are buying land. They are buying a lot of factories. They are buying a lot of stocks, bonds, whatever they are doing. They are getting to buy them cheap. But are you able to get them to buy cheap? The short answer is no. हम किस में खुश हो जाते हैं? यार हमारी तनख्वाह बढ़ गई, right, by 5% or 10%. Okay, fine, your तनख्वाह increased by 5-10%, but INR also fell by 5-10%. So net आपका कुछ benefit हुआ? The short answer is no. That there has been no benefit from that angle. Then comes the imports or cost of living, because you might say कि यार इन सब चीज़ों से मुझे कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता. I do not travel abroad. I just travel in India only. I do not want to study abroad. I do not want to procure capital or any loans. I do not want to invest also. So मुझे क्या फर्क पड़ता है, right? मैं तो cool बंदा बंदी हूँ. No, आप पे फर्क इसलिए पड़ता है because see, India is a net importer. Most of our energy is imported. we are very prone to fluctuation when it comes to importing, and whenever dollar fluctuates, dollar strengthens, our import bill goes up. For example, आप 2014 में बैठ के, let's say we were importing 100 crore का total good, 100 crores good. Now, because the INR has fallen by 40% compared to US dollar, now to import that same amount of material, we will have to pay 140 crores. Now that 40 crore deficit is something that we will have to unnecessarily pay due to the fall in INR. अब आप बोलोगे मुझे क्या फर्क पड़ता है, सरकार बिल बढ़ेगी. No. Do you think सरकार के पास फ्री में पैसा आता है? No. They are going to charge you in some form or the other. They will charge you higher taxes. They will charge you cess, TCS, what not, right? अब दुनिया भर के हथकंडे होते हैं, right? So from that perspective, this is going to impact you the most, whether you like it or not. This is a fact that we'll have to deal with. Eventually, if the INR keeps on falling, then it could lead to a full-blown crisis called as balance of payment crisis. वो थोड़ा सा complicated हो जाएगा, so maybe I'll make a separate video on that. Now, let me walk into section number 3 as to what you can do in order to prevent yourself. Okay, so here are a few quick strategies. Number 1, please do not keep INR. Okay, so what is the meaning of please do not keep INR? You say illegal चीजें बता रहे हैं. No. See, if you have a lot of savings lying around, please do not keep it in banks just like that, right? Do something with it. Go and invest. If you invest in bonds, if you invest in stocks, if you invest in gold, if you invest in real estate, because that way you are converting your INR into an asset. Now, what is an asset? Asset could be a real estate, it could be a bond, it could be a stock, it could be any of those things. That way, you're not holding an asset that is constantly going down or driven down in value. I'm not saying that, sorry, अपनी savings उड़ा दो. No, nothing like that. Or 100% investment कर दो. No. But see, try to invest as much as possible, because once you convert something in an asset, it benefits you. मैं आपको अपने example से बताता हूँ, right? I purchased a lot of real estate last year. Every real estate piece that I have purchased has gone up by 15-20%. People just think, yes, gold बढ़ रहा है. No, gold is also rising, real estate is also rising, stocks are also rising. So from that perspective, assets are rising. But if you're sitting on cash in your account, it's not leading to anything. It's actually just going down in value. So this is strategy 1. Strategy 2, save in US dollar. Now, what is the meaning of US dollar or save in US dollars? For example, you can go and invest outside India. I keep on recommending an app called as Vested. You can go check it out. It's a wonderful app. You can put some money in the US markets directly. So that way, some of your INR gets logged into USD. This is your option 2. Your option 3 is to earn in US dollars. Please learn how to do that. It's not that complicated sitting in this day and age. Option 1 there is that you go study abroad, work abroad. That's a great way of earning in US dollar. Your option 2 is that you sit in India, figure out ways to make money from people outside India. They will pay you in US dollars. So that's good. From that perspective, you will benefit a lot. I had done an entire video earlier. You can go and check it out somewhere here. That will give you a complete idea what is it that you should be doing. But if I have to give you some advice here, it's very simple, that start with these 3 points, start thinking about these 3 points. It will put you in a better shape. Please don't wait for 5 more years and again, go on a Twitter rant, yeah, hi, yeah, INR fall, this, that, right? It will continue to go down. There are reasons why that is happening and it is likely to continue to happen. Figure out a way, build a strategy to protect yourself. I teach a lot of this stuff on my YouTube member community also. In case you guys are interested, you could consider joining. The link is in the description and comment box. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you soon.